and welcome to 7 Days of Science, your weekly source for the latest science news. In the headlines this week, 2 new specimens of mummified dinosaurs have been discovered. A study has found that Australia's first peoples were collecting fossils. A new paper reveals some of the surprising diseases that may have stopped Napoleon's advance into Russia, and much more. Remember to check out our unboxing of the latest Curiosity box in our Sword Dragon video, and the link in the description and the pinned comment below to get some fantastic scientific goodies for yourself, or indeed someone else.
Ooh. Okay, now as a paleontologist, I am always in need of a tape measure. There's got to be some Star Trek in there.
He's not going to let me forget about this. It's dripping quicker, look! Our top story this week is the announcement of 2 fantastic new specimens of mummified dinosaurs. These mummies are both examples of duck-billed dinosaurs, specifically belonging to the species Edmontosaurus annectans. Mummified specimens of this dinosaur have been discovered before, back in the early 1900s, and the American Museum of Natural History and the Senckenberg Museum in Germany both display some stunning mummified fossils of this species. Now though, 2 more examples have been described from Wyoming. One of these is a late juvenile, about 2 years old at the time of death, the first sub-adult dinosaur mummy ever recorded, and the other is an early adult aged between 5 and 8 years. Together, these stunning new mummified fossils reveal some incredible new details about the life appearance of these hadrosaurs, providing us with the best glimpse yet of what one of these dinosaurs would have looked like in the flesh. This species had a large, fleshy crest that began over the neck and extended across the back of these animals, which then transitioned into a low midline row of interlocking spikes. This row of spikes then extended from the hip region and along the tail, gradually decreasing in height. This is a very interesting revision of Edmontosaurus annectans' life appearance, as previous reconstructions had shown these dinosaurs with a row of spikes running from the neck down the entire body, but these new mummies reveal that there were no spikes in front of the hips. These mummies have also shown that Edmontosaurus had hooves on its hind feet. Hooves had previously been reported on the forefeet of mummified hadrosaur remains, but it is now clear that the hind feet possess them as well. This paper is significant for several other reasons. The authors clarify what exactly the term mummy means when referring to such fossils, defining it as a mostly intact fossil skeleton covered by large areas of integument renderings. This term, integument rendering, is an important new definition that includes several modes of how fossil remains of soft tissue skin get preserved. Rather than calling the skin remains in these mummified fossils skin impressions, renderings is a more accurate description of how they formed, as they are not often actual impressions made in sediment. Instead, much of the skin in these specimens has been preserved as a thin external mask of clay, essentially templates of the skin formed from clay minerals. Finally, one of the other most exciting aspects of this paper is that it establishes the location of a so-called mummy zone in east-central Wyoming. Using historical records, the researchers identified the precise sites where the original Edmontosaurus mummies were collected in the early 1900s, and also compared these with locations where other dinosaur mummies have been found, such as a Triceratops and a T-Rex specimen with some preserved soft tissues. All these mummies originate from the Lance Formation, dating between 70 and 66 million years ago, and all were discovered within the same 10-kilometer area. This mummy zone appears to be an especially promising site for future discoveries. Overall, this is a truly extraordinary discovery, and it's tremendously exciting to now have such a comprehensive understanding of how these dinosaurs appeared in life. Also in the paleo news this week, a new study suggests that Australia's first peoples were fossil collectors. The researchers explain that some evidence of fossilised Australian mammal bones with cut marks inflicted by humans may not, in fact, indicate that humans were butchering these animals for food. Instead, some of them might have been cut long after the animals died and became fossilised. The example bone analysed in this study is a short-faced kangaroo leg bone, which was micro-CT scanned and examined for microscopic wear, revealing that the cut probably occurred after it became fossilised. The researchers also investigated a fossil molar from an extinct kind of diprotodontid marsupial that was first gifted by First Peoples in northern Australia. This species is otherwise unknown from this part of Australia, but is commonly found in the south. Using X-ray fluorescence, they tested the provenance of the molar and found that it's identical to other fossil teeth in the Mammoth Cave in southern Australia. So, humans must have taken the molar from this cave. The study concludes that fossils were valued, collected and transported over long distances by Australia's First Peoples for probably thousands of years before Europeans arrived. A fascinating new paper. In other prehistoric news, we have a new chapter in the long-standing debate over whether or not the dinosaurs were in decline before the infamous asteroid struck the planet 66 million years ago. Ever since researchers learned of the asteroid impact's role in the extinction, there's been disagreement over whether non-bird dinosaur diversity was in decline prior to this and the asteroid was the final blow, or if the asteroid was the main cause of the extinction. A big part of the problem with working out diversity trends around this precise time is because most of the studied fossil sites of this age are concentrated in the northern plains of North America. Therefore, it has been unclear whether the trends seen there are reflected globally. Now, new research has dated a site in New Mexico and modelled the diversity of dinosaurs there, finding that it dates to the very latest Cretaceous and maintained high levels of diversity right up until the impact. This suggests that dinosaurs were not in decline before the asteroid and were, in fact, still diverse and even partitioned into regionally distinct assemblages throughout the final hundreds of thousands of years of the Cretaceous. Also in the recent dinosaur news, a new species of sauropod dinosaur has been named this week. Paleontologists re-examined a fossilised brain case and partial skull roof in the collections of the Carnegie Museum of Natural History from one of these long-necked titans and realised that it belongs to a brand new species. Interestingly, this specimen was first collected in 1913 and was long thought to be from Diplodocus. However, this new research builds on decades of discoveries made about this iconic dinosaur, revealing that actually the fossil has several distinct characteristics that show it doesn't belong to Diplodocus. In fact, it is so different from all members of the Diplodocus family that it has been classified as a new species, Athenar bermani. This is another fascinating discovery, once again highlighting the importance of museum collections, as more than 100 years have passed since this fossil was collected, but thanks to its careful preservation, we can now recognise it as something new. There's another new species of prehistoric reptile this week, a new kind of crocodiliform from the late Cretaceous of Egypt. Named Wadisuchus kassabi, it's a type of croc known as a dyrosaurid, a lineage of these ancient reptiles that is now entirely extinct, but that actually did survive the end Cretaceous mass extinction. Wadisuchus is an early diverging member of this lineage, helping to shed light on the origins of these particular crocs. It's known from 2 partial skulls and 3 partial mandibles, which show that it was quite a long-snouted croc that likely primarily fed on fish. It would have measured between 3.5 and 4 meters in total length, or around 11.5 to over 13 feet. Living about 80 million years ago, Wadisuchus extends the known temporal range of the dyrosaurids back by several million years, showing that these crocs evolved even earlier than once thought, and showing that very early on, these predators evolved elongated snouts. And for our next new prehistoric species of the week, there's also been a new kind of ancient rhinoceros named. It's a new kind of species of Arctic rhinoceros, which lived about 23 million years ago in what is now the Canadian High Arctic. Its bones were found on Devon Island in Nunavut, and it comprises a beautiful, almost complete skeleton. It's been named as a new species within the already established genus Epiaceratherium, called Epiaceratherium itjilik. This is now the most northerly rhino species known to science. Epiaceratherium itjilik would have crossed into North America via the North Atlantic land bridge, which connected the continent to Europe. This is especially interesting as it was previously thought that this land bridge only facilitated dispersals up to around 56 million years ago, but the presence of this new Arctic rhino and its relation to other prehistoric rhinos suggests the land bridge was used for many millions of years after that. You may also remember that back in July of this year, we discussed a paper that extracted the oldest ever evolutionary informative protein sequences from an Arctic rhino. Well, this is that same specimen, so it's wonderful to be able to put a name to such a significant fossil. Next up, we have a very special story, as one of Ben's friends and fellow paleontology postgraduate, Kira Franklin, has published a paper naming several new species of prehistoric freshwater bivalves from Morocco. Excitingly, these bivalves come from the Kem group, the home of Spinosaurus. Many of these new species were collected during an expedition to Morocco that both Ben and Kira participated in back in 2023, so it is very exciting to see these published. Ben recently had the chance to speak with Kira about these new species, so here's their interview.
Welcome to this special 7 Days of Science segment. I'm here with Kira Franklin, who has just published a paper naming some new species of freshwater bivalves from the Kem group. The Kem, as people probably know, it's famous for being the home of Spinosaurus, but there are lots of other dinosaurs found there as well, lots of other animals, and it's basically this big kind of river environment, and Kira has named some new bivalves from this environment. So, Kira, what exactly is a bivalve?
Okay, I'm ready for this one. A bivalve is a class of aquatic mollusks. So they will have like their internal soft body, which is enclosed into half shells called valves. So two valves. And I think most people will probably know them from lots of modern bivalves like scallops, oysters, clams. I got props, Ben.
Oh, awesome. Oh, there's a bivalve.
It's a
Nice.
bivalve, and I have one here.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's a bivalve, or that's half a bivalve. Maybe like that. I think most people would know it once it's been explained, but that's the technical term, bivalve. Like I was saying about the modern ones, but they've been around since the early Cambrian, so they're very ancient creatures.
Brilliant. And so where exactly have these new bivalves been discovered?
Okay, well, you've already told them this, and you took away most of my answer. But the bivalves were discovered in the Kem group in southeastern Morocco. If we're being specific, they came from the Ifazwan formation within the Kem group. And like you said, it was like a massive active river environment and home to our favourite Spinosaurus. But there were also bivalves. I think they were forgotten about a little bit along the way.
Yeah. Everyone thinks about Spinosaurus, but not the bivalves. I don't know what that is.
We do love Spinosaurus. It's very exciting, but the bivalves are my thing.
And so why is it significant that you've found or named these bivalves in the Kem?
Well, that is the reason, really, is because these are the first, I believe they are the first mollusks ever described from the Kem. I think there is a lot going on there. There's a huge amount of large vertebrates, and it's very exciting. So the bivalves sort of got forgotten along the way, and they also are quite rare. So they were kind of understudied or not studied at all for a very long time, and that's why it's so exciting. So we're the first sort of people to shed light on them, give them a bit of spotlight, I hope.
So why is it that invertebrate fossils in the Kem are quite rare?
There is quite a lot of preservation bias, so the bivalves have undergone like millions of years of dissolution because of the active river environment, so I imagine most of them were probably lost, and the ones that we do have are quite fragmentary. But we have lots of trace fossil evidence that suggests that actually they were a lot more abundant than we had previously thought, which is quite exciting. So we don't have a lot of their parts, but we have a lot of evidence of them being around. They were definitely present.
That's exciting. So you're going to go back out there and find some more at some point?
Oh, maybe one day.
Yeah. And so how many new species have you actually named in this paper?
It's a little bit complicated, and this is where I have to look at my notes so that I phrase this correctly. So we have got 2 new species. We've got Unio radley, which is a member of Unionidae, Camcamnia parvum, which is new species and genus, and then we've got a new genus, Gomardinea.
Oh, those are good names as well. And so what are the main differences that you noticed between the species?
They are vastly different in terms of their morphology. That's obviously the first thing that you will look for, the most noticeable thing. So our Camcamnia parvum, it is very small and oval shaped, very smooth, no ribbing. We found 10 specimens of this species, and they're about this big. Then we've got our Gomardinea, which is very large. It's like an elongate oval shape, and it has very deep ribbing. And then our Unio radley is also elongate oval shape. It's a lot more uniform, no ribbing. So the morphology between the new ones that we've named are vastly different. They are very distinguishable. And obviously the first thing that you will look at is the morphology.
And how did you actually decide on the names that you gave them?
So Unio radley is named after John Radley for his taphonomic work on Cretaceous non-marine bivalves. And then similarly, Gomardinea is named after J. Gomard, who wrote the original description of Plicata unio radieri. And then Camcamnia parvum is quite simple. So parvum is Latin for small. So that was the one I described that's very small. And Camcamnia means just of or from the Camcam. Between you and me, I really, really wanted to call it Camcamnia infans, which is Latin for baby of the Camcam.
Oh, nice.
I just thought it's not just small, but it's like round and smooth and tiny. And I thought that would be really sweet, but that was rejected, sadly.
Would these bivalves then, do you think, would they be providing like an important food source kind of at the almost at the base of the Camcam food chain in a way?
So there isn't any evidence of tetrapods in the Camcam that would have had a true durophagus dentition. So conical teeth for like chomping hard-shelled things. But there were some that were sort of close. So we had some crocodiliforms that had very rounded conical teeth. I feel like Hamza would love to tell you about this.
Oh yeah.
So they definitely could have been chomping on bivalve shells, and they had the jaw muscles to do that. It was even suggested that some of the pterosaurs might have been able to break the hard shells, so they might have enjoyed some bivalves as well. There were plenty of huge vertebrates. There was turtles and very large fish. So we did conclude at the end of our paper that actually the bivalves most likely would have been a huge source of food for not the largest of the vertebrates. I don't think Spinosaurus was picking out tiny bivalves.
No.
But some of the medium-sized ones, like I said, the crocodilomorphs and turtles, large fish and whatnot. So yeah, absolutely. We definitely think that that would have been the case. They would have been a big source of nutrients to a wide variety of vertebrates within the Camcam.
Yeah, no, it sounds like a very important kind of component of the whole ecosystem that's definitely been overlooked. So it's brilliant that you've done this work and brought these new species to light. So congratulations on publishing that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask, are these, so the ones when we went to Morocco, are any of these the new species that you found there?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
All of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How many did you actually collect from that? I can't actually remember how many you got.
You're quizzing me now. It's a little bit complicated because some of the Camcamnia parvum specimens, I think there was about 3 of them that were from previous trips
Right.
that were donated to me by Dave. So they made up part of the database as well, but most of them I believe, came from the Chem when we went on our trip.
Yeah, so that's really cool. I mean, because I've got a couple of like some photos of the site where we were excavating, so I could add that in. I can't remember if I filmed much there.
It was lovely, yeah.
I remember sitting under that big rock at the top and like looking down over the plains. That was so nice.
It was a wonderful trip. I have very fond memories of that trip, and I think it felt like a massive adventure. Like, it was not like anything I'd ever done before. But I also just always think of like how hospitable everyone was.
Yeah,
like,
the people were so
everywhere
lovely.
we went, they were giving us food and tea and letting us into their homes, and it was absolutely wonderful. And the tea was good. It was wonderful. Everyone was lovely. If you've never been to Morocco, I would highly recommend it. Such a lovely place.
Yeah, great place to do science.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking to me and being on 7 Days of Science. And I hope everyone goes and reads the paper and has a look at these bivalves.
Yeah, please.
Yeah. And, let people know that Spinosaurus, that's the famous dinosaur, but it was actually living with these very important bivalves right at the base of the food chain. That's the reason Spinosaurus evolved, because you got these bivalves supporting everything else, Really, it all goes back to bivalves.
Massive food web. It's all connected. Spinosaurus wouldn't exist without the bivalves.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a bit bold.
No, I think it's true. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, and look forward to talking to you again if you name more.
Exciting. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much to Kira for taking the time to bring her research directly to you guys here on 7 Days of Science. Some news from the much more recent past now, as a study published in Current Biology has taken a new look at some of the diseases that ravaged Napoleon's army during his retreat from Russia in 1812. Much of the French Emperor's army was lost after a disastrous campaign that eventually reached Moscow, but dwindling supplies, harsh weather, and rampant disease forced a costly retreat out of the country. The balance of all these factors is debated amongst historians, and even the diseases they suffered from haven't always been clear. Historians in the past have had to try to work out what they were from using accounts of symptoms. Using modern tech, however, the authors of this paper have analysed the DNA of some remains of soldiers using new tech that can sequence millions of DNA fragments from just one sample. 4 of the 13 soldiers tested found the presence of a pathogen that causes paratyphoid fever, and 2 more had DNA from a pathogen that causes relapsing fever. Using such modern and direct methods to determine what diseases these soldiers had gives historians an often rare piece of direct evidence to help build a story of the past, and is a great way to help settle debates that might otherwise remain unsolved with just reported evidence alone. In other news, scientists reporting in the journal Astronomy and Astrophysics have discovered a confirmed 2 and possibly even 3 planets around a binary star system just 73.5 light years away from our own Sun. All 3 exoplanets are roughly Earth-sized, and if there are 3, dynamical analyses of the system has shown that they cannot all be orbiting the same star, meaning it would be the first ever binary star system discovered that has transisting planets around both of its stars. In addition to this, it would be the most compact binary system known to host planets, offering a unique look at the potential diversity of planet-hosting systems, and shows that there are still so many boundaries to be pushed when it comes to how we understand our universe and how it can function. The elusive 3rd planet is so because, despite a strong signal from data collected from the Transisting Exoplanet Survey satellite, observations from the ground could not detect the same signal, so the planet could not be confirmed. Hopefully, sometime soon, we will be able to get confirmation on whether or not this 3rd planet exists, so future astronomers can have this seemingly extreme example of an exoplanet hosting system to hand when picking apart the mysteries of the cosmos. Finally, for the news this week, a recently published study has found that gill nets equipped with solar-powered flashing LED buoys reduced sea turtle bycatch by 63% compared to traditional unlit nets. Importantly for the fishers, the LEDs didn't lower the catch of target species like yellowtail. Bycatch in coastal gillnet fisheries is a major threat to sea turtles, sea birds, marine mammals, and fish. The idea for these LEDs came from a couple of Baja California fishers. Working with a team of scientists, they developed a lightweight, low-profile solar buoy that attached to a float line just like a standard buoy. The integrated LED flashes on and off to conserve energy and can operate for more than 5 days, even in total darkness. The team is working to bring the solar buoys to market, with the release expected within the next 2 or 3 years. While a 63% reduction in bycatch is a promising start, the goal is to reach 95%. These remarkable animals help sustain healthy seagrass beds and coral reefs, which in turn support the resilience and productivity of our oceans. So protecting sea turtles isn't just about saving a species, it's about preserving the balance of entire marine ecosystems. Well, that's it for the news this week. I really hope you enjoyed learning about everything that's happened in these last 7 days of science. Be sure to email us at 7dos.stories@gmail.com if you have any research you'd like to see us cover, or if you want to let us know how we can improve the show. You can follow 7 Days of Science on Instagram and TikTok, and also be sure to support us on Patreon if you enjoy what we do here. As always, a big thank you to our patrons, including Andrew Kawam, Chang Yin, Chippy Chippy Chappa Chappa, Clara Middleton, Dean A. Bather, Deanna Hernandez, Dhruv Srivastava, Gabriella, Gary Arrington, Giotist, I Rage, Joran Joydovic, John French, Joseph Ree, Josh Lambert, Corey Peterson, Lena Rose, Mark Nevin, Matt Grandis, Mendicant Fryer, Mike Pace, Monitor Man, Nicolaus York, Ralph Balzac, Robert Prieprajika Jr., Robert Thomas, Sammy Petrikis, Steve Bradshaw, Thomas F. Conroy III, Timothy N. Tedrow, Tracy Merrifield, and Troy Schmidt. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.